welcome to the God is a Geek podcast. Every week my voice in the intro gets a little bit higher. My name's Adam Cook and I'm here this week with Adam Carroll.
Hello friend, how are you?
I'm great, mate. I'm, as always, excited to be chatting to you lovely people. Yourself?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Can't wait.
Have you taken Chris's role there of just like the sort of
just
argumentative?
Bring in the sarcasm, do you know? Just bring it in somewhere.
Are you saying you're bringing the sarcasm or that Chris is usually bringing the sarcasm?
Well, Chris usually brings it and I enjoy it, so I feel like because he's not here today, I said I'll just take that place for a bit.
Yes, Chris isn't here this week, but we hasn't been on for a few weeks actually. Nicola Ardron.
Hello, I am. I'm allowed back on.
That's right. She was banished for 2 weeks because
bumped.
That's right. Obviously, we can't have a female voice on the podcast too often.
I know,
because
the universe will implode.
I was trying to think of a reason, and I sort of like I can't actually fake this. I can't. I just
haven't been able to get on, have I, Adam? But yes, I'm happy to be here.
Right. Good. We've got lots to talk about, and that's why Gary Bailey's also here.
Hello.
You're not a female voice, but I like to think you've got the soft touch.
Yeah. I can do, I suppose.
I've also now just realised I've implied that all females have soft touches, and I feel like I'm less than two minutes in, and I've already committed some kind of sexist crime.
Absolutely.
I do CrossFit. I could like crush a walnut in me fist or something. I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with that. I don't know. No,
although admittedly now 2 minutes in we've already got the show title. We are going to talk about some video games because that's what we do here, and we're going to kick it off with a very, very brand new video game. I should actually also say that at the time of recording, we normally obviously record a little bit in advance of the live date of the podcast because we give it to Patreons early. This time we're actually recording way in advance, and that's because Adam is moving, so we want to make sure he's on the podcast, as you know, he's here every week, so it's his fault if all the news is out of date. Okay, with that in mind, we're gonna start off talking about a game that at the time of recording is about to come out, and it's one I know that Nicola is excited about. She's played it on Switch, I've played it on PS4. I'm going to take a stab in the dark and say that the actual name of the game is Fee. Nicola.
Yes, but can we just clarify? I think it's supposed to be pronounced Faye.
It is.
I think so
it
too.
is 100% Faye. 100%.
But there's no A.
Yeah, but the only reason
E hasn't got
the only reason I'm so confident in this is because at the Game Awards the developers were talking and they said it's pronounced Faye.
Well, stick the diphthong in. Stick the A in. You know.
Yeah.
Honestly.
I'm glad that, I mean, that might also be the title of the pod.
What, stick the diphthong in? Get it in there. Shove it right in. Fee. Yeah, I've been excited about this. It looks kind of...
Faye, Nicola, we just established.
Faye.
We literally just established it.
Do you know what? It's because I'm looking at it. I'm just looking at the game here.
Yeah, I know.
So before we start discussing this game, I just want to put it out there that I am quite excited about this game.
Are you indeed?
I just want to put I've seen bits and pieces, and I am really excited. So
if you would put a score on your excitement level in traditional review sense, what would your score be for the excitement level?
In terms of like how it looks, and it just seems like I'm gonna a 7. I'm gonna give it a 7 of excitement.
Okay. Well, before Nicola and I break your hearts, Gary, do you have any? Do you have any excitement for this?
Don't give it away, Adam. Don't give it away.
My
I feel like I can't answer this now.
No, be honest. Be honest.
Don't know. I'm on the fence because I'm not really sure. Like I've only really seen that initial stuff that they showed. Was it last E3?
Yeah.
And it's like, it looked alright, but I didn't really get what it was.
No, I just want to say as well that, like, on top of my excitement for the game, when it was announced that it's coming for Switch as well, I was like, brilliant, definitely excited now. Like, anything
because it would be perfect on Switch.
Exactly, that's what I mean. Like, it just looks like a very, very nice game.
Yeah. Go for it, Nicola. What do you think?
I feel like a knife to the heart is about to happen.
I'm underwhelmed.
Crap.
And I've got to say that I'm really disappointed because this was one of the games that I was really quite excited about. It's got a kind of Ori feel to it in terms of you're moving this cute little creature about who sings to other animals, and it's kind of lovely, you know. It's got this pastoral feel to it that I really, really like. But I'm just a bit underwhelmed by it. It feels like it's supposed to be something profound, but it's not quite hitting the mark for me.
So give me a brief rundown of the story here, because I actually know nothing about the story.
Oh God, you want to know the story?
Why is it fucking very convoluted?
Well,
We're talking Kingdom
It
Hearts.
doesn't
Do you remember
really
last week?
tell us. It's a bit obtuse in its storytelling.
the thing is last week we talked about Shadow of the Colossus, and we will talk more about it. And we were talking this long discussion where I think I said how much I wish games were more mysterious this way.
Yeah.
I've changed my mind after playing Faye. But then
Only
saying
when done
that,
well.
So
Shadow
real
of the
clue.
Shadow of the Colossus, the basis of the game is here's you are this kid, here's girl is otherwise dead or unconscious. Mysterious voice says do this and girl will maybe be saved, right? That's not a massive story, and the story unfolds as you play it more, but that is a story to go on. The thing about Faye, and again, maybe I'm an idiot, I don't know. Sometimes games you just miss the point, and sometimes you like when someone explains it, you go, "Oh, this." I'm like, what? Again, like Nicholas says, it kind of goes for that Ori thing at the beginning, but it doesn't tell us. I haven't finished it. I don't know, but Nicola, I don't think it gives you much to go on.
No,
So
I mean, I haven't finished it either. Actually, I'm trying to get past through it now, but it doesn't really. You just basically get dumped into this world, don't you? And you kind of like skip along as a cute little woodland animal, and then you find other cute little woodland animals and sing to them. After you've learned, obviously, the song, you sing to them and they become your friends, and they can help you with like you sing to a bird and it'll give you a map marker, or you sing to a deer and you can jump on a deer's back and it helps you get to higher places.
Metroidvania-y,
yeah,
isn't it?
Yeah,
like
but in
that
a
respect.
in a kind of
what kind of-
3D space.
What kind of tunes is he singing? Are we singing some Phil Collins?
No,
No,
it's
no,
awful.
no. Phil Collins.
It's like a kind of kind of noise.
I tell you what, though, I'd play that. I'd be more enjoying that game if every time you sung to an animal, he broke out a different Phil Collins
That
number.
would be
Oh
pretty cool.
man, imagine Easy Lover every time, banging Game of the Year.
I don't know that would work with this the
It would.
visuals and the aesthetic of this. It might be a little out of place, but you do like the one I'm not that far in because I sort of don't really want to play much. I will play more of it, but I just unlocked is a weird way to talk about it, but like the bird power, and I must admit when I unlocked that and I realised what that allowed you to do, I did sort of go, oh, that's quite cool. I like that. I mean, I knew it would do something because the deer power before unlocks an ability, so you're like, well, that's what this game is. I get it.
Yeah.
I get what the game is, but so my problem with it is that I think where some games hold your hand too much and other games maybe just give you a little nudge in the back now and again if you're a bit stuck, this game I don't think does that properly. I think so I had to ask Chris, the reason Nicola, I haven't finished it, it's just Chris is reviewing it. By the time you listen to this, his review will be on the site. I think he liked it a bit more than us. He's not like 9 out of 10 or anything. He liked it more than us. Certainly I can't speak for Nicola. I mean, I liked it more than I did. But I had to ask him how to solve the grizzly bear puzzle. So when there's this bit where the one bit that's obvious is that you have to learn the bird song, but it tells you because text comes up saying, you know, to be able to speak to the birds, you need to speak to a kind of older version, you know, like an elder.
You have to learn the adult version. Because you can speak to the baby animals, the small animals.
That's it.
But you can't speak to the larger ones until you learn how to do it.
So I was following these creatures, again, these weird creatures that take this bird's eggs. There's these 4 eggs on like pedestals. It's obviously looking after its babies. It's a huge bird. It's really obvious, right? So I've got to get these eggs back, speak to that thing. That thing's going to teach me the language. It borderline spells that out. So the way the world's designed, you kind of go off in these 4 different directions and you get the first 3 eggs. The 4th egg, the thing, you can pick up these green... I don't know what they are. These green...
They're like pods, aren't they? Like
things.
seed pods or something.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But you throw them at the enemies and it stuns them and you can get past them. Otherwise, it's a bit like they've got this cone of vision. It's a mishmash of a lot of different things, actually. And it feels like I'm jumping all over the shop here, and I apologise, but that's kind of how it felt to play it. So you get the other eggs by doing that in some way or another. And then you're following the fourth creature that's got the fourth egg, and it encounters like a bear in a cave, and it kills this creature and it takes the egg for itself, and all of a sudden you're like, right, so this isn't going to work on this bear. So I went everywhere trying to work out. I thought I had to draw the bear out, like it follows you and then it stops and it won't follow you anymore. I was like, okay. So I text Chris, just said, I don't like doing this. How do I get this thing off this bloody bear? It's winding me up. I'm going to stop playing this in a minute and I won't pick it up again. And he said, go up behind it in the cave and there's a purple thing. You can throw the purple thing at it. I'd already been up there. I'd already seen the purple thing. I didn't realise you could pick the purple thing up. I was like, well, do I jump on its back? Do I sing to it? And then he just said, yeah, throw the purple thing at it. Instantly it drops it. You pick the green thing up, done. And that to me is a problem.
It's a bit obtuse, isn't it? The whole thing's a bit obtuse, I think.
Yes.
But I think that it's been done deliberately so. Because, as I said, I feel like this game... And I like the developer. I've played a couple of their games in the past.
Zoink, isn't it?
Zoink, yeah. And I feel like, do you know what? I really, really felt like No Man's Sky when I was playing it earlier.
Okay. In
the sense that No Man's Sky was pitched as this big, grand, like, the scale of it was just enormous and, like, could really blow... Like, when what's his face? Old Sean stood up and...
Sean Murray.
Just showed you, like, oh, and this is the universe, and then it just keeps expanding out and out and out. Everybody's mind was blown at that point, weren't they? Just the possibilities, the imagination that you've got around this game. I kind of felt a little bit like that playing with Faye. That it feels like it's been developed to be this kind of profound experience, mind-blowing experience, and yet the reality of it is a bit like, I
mean, that's not to say, because again, we haven't finished it, but maybe...
Yeah, that sounds like I really hate it. I don't really hate it. I'm
same.
I'm a bit disappointed with what I've played so far, in that I don't think it's quite lived up to my expectation of what I thought it was going to be when I first saw it.
How do you feel about the way it controls?
Awful.
Because I feel it's right.
Awful.
Okay, I was going to say I feel like it's way too like that. So this is a very minor spoiler. So if you want completely to go in blind, just skip. I'd say 60 to 90 seconds. This won't take long. So ready? Okay, I'm just going to talk about a power that you get. The first power you get, which is from the deer. When you complete the deer stuff, you get a power which lets you climb trees. It's very Mario. You go up to a tree, jump, and then, like, imagine in Odyssey where you shake the controller to go up the tree. It literally goes up in the same mannerism. But when you're at the top of the tree, you can jump off, and it gives you you can jump further than, it gives you distance ability, essentially. Yeah. But the camera doesn't seem to want to let you point it in the direction that you want to jump. It always seems to be squirrely, and it's like every time I'm like barely making a jump. And it almost sometimes feels like I'm not making it, but it pulls me up kind of thing. It sort of sucks me onto the platform. And I don't feel like that's... And I've had a few bugs on PS4, and I've found a few sort of invisible walls, and I feel like it kind of maybe needed a bit longer in the oven.
Yeah, I mean, I'm playing it on Switch, and I've played it in, like, on big screen mode, and the actual, because it's so flighty, the controls, it's made me a little bit queasy. I seem to be getting this a lot more as I'm getting older. Actually, I'm finding much more games make me queasy.
You have mentioned
that. Now I never used
recently,
to.
A few times.
Never used to, but particularly
the first time was The Witness, wasn't it? Was it The
God,
Witness?
The Witness made me feel awful. Yeah.
But to be fair, that did it to my wife as well. Actually, I think I mentioned that on the pod. Like, I didn't get it, but I
tend to have them with the Wonder type games as well, unless they do put the reticle up. And I've noticed a few games have started doing that because they must realise that this kind of does make people feel a bit queasy. Because the controls are so flighty in Faye, particularly on the Switch, and the toggle buttons on the Switch always feel a little... They don't feel as robust as they do on the PlayStation or the Xbox controller. I don't know if you feel the same way, but I feel like they're just a little more delicate. And it feels very flighty. I'm a little better when I have it in the handheld mode. I feel better because I can keep it, it's a smaller image that I'm looking at. I'm not as immersed in the image. It's just a bit... I know what you mean. When you say you're making that jump and you think, I can't possibly make that jump... But
well, it
it's
almost
really
swings the
generous.
camera as I jump.
But it kind of is really generous, doesn't it? I haven't quite made that jump, but here we are. I'm on the ledge. Oh, okay.
I feel like I hit the. This is difficult to describe. But imagine the geometry of a square, and I feel like I'm hitting the diagonal, like the point of the square, and it sort of just pulls me onto it anyway, which is, I suppose, good. I'd hate for it to be the other way, but like. Again, it sounds like I hate it. I don't.
Yeah,
I
I'm
just
wondering,
feel like
this game, there seems to be a lot of problems that you don't enjoy about this game. It looks like when we all saw it does look nice. And it looks
like a game that Ubisoft released recently. At the end of last year, they released it on Uplay. Actually, give me 2 seconds. We didn't actually. It's called Ode. They released this game out of... You know how they did with Grow Home originally? They just released this game suddenly. Like, here's a game, it's on Uplay, only on Uplay, and it's called Ode, and it looks so similar, and it's, again, you're sort of wandering around singing to things. I must play it, but...
Yeah.
This
awkward controls, not knowing really what's happening within the game. Like, in a time where there's things like Celeste and Crossing Souls and stuff out there, is this kind of like at the bottom of the pile? Because it sounds like that.
Again, I don't know if Nicola will agree with me on this, but after getting the bird power, which you can probably guess what it lets you do or gives you access to, but I won't spoil it, I feel like it then tells you, once you get this power, which button is it? There's a button you can press, and it brings up a radial menu where you can select the song.
Yeah.
So, like, the first... and that really surprised me, because it's all very well having text appear on the screen, like literally saying, do this, or this is what you can do. But to add the UI of a radial menu to a game like this, it feels like it's trying to be both a game that is, I'm mysterious and we're not going to tell you anything, but also like there's straight up text on the screen saying to do stuff and a radial menu, and it feels like a game that, a bit like a Wonder game, you're either a first-person shooter, in which case there's a UI and here's your bullets, or you're nothing like that, but then you do away with the screen furniture because you want the immersion. And this feels like it's trying to go down the middle, and for me... It sounds like I hate it, and I really don't. I might go back to it and play a bit more. There's other stuff to play, but it feels split down the middle, like it doesn't know what it wants to be.
It's kind of jarring, though, don't you think? Because you start off...
really do.
You start off and there's nothing.
Absolutely
there's
nothing. And it's a cold start,
doesn't tell
you
what to do. You just sort of, like, start and, I move around and...
I forgot after the first... I had 2 sessions on it. The second session, I'd forgotten all about this. There's one of the triggers you hold down, it brings up a map, like almost a Metroid-style over-the-head map that has a point, go here. And it's like, again, so you're neither this mystical, work it all out, but you're also not tight enough to have all this... So again, it feels slapped down the middle. I think I'm with you. I like Zoink. My favourite one of them, I like Stick It to the Man. I thought that was really, really good. And it actually made me laugh, and it was underrated. And I wondered if this would be their... not magnum opus as such, but like they've got a few games under their belt now, you know?
This is their ambitious game. That's what I feel like. I feel like this is an ambitious game for them.
It's not bad either. Again, I don't want to keep saying this, but I don't think it's bad. It just doesn't really excite me in any way.
I will say, playing it on the Switch, pushing it up to the big screen, it doesn't... I don't like it. Is that really awful? I don't know what it looks like on PS4, but I mean, when you look at it...
very sharp, very sharp.
When you look at it, you think, it's really pretty. And it is pretty, but when I push it up to the big screen on the Switch... I don't like the way it looks at all. I really don't like it.
It's kind. I mean, it's very sharp on PS4. I'm playing on Pro, so it's on a 4K telly. Blah blah blah. All that stuff. It's the art style is very. Like I said, it looks very much like Ode, but to give it a reference that perhaps people might know, because I doubt many people played Ode. In some ways, it slightly reminds me of Tearaway. The way it's kind of all polygonal and do you know what I mean? Not as colourful, because it's very much purples and, but it's got that kind of...
It looks better on the smaller screen anyway.
Yeah, I bet. I mean, Bayonetta 2 was the same. Like, they I think games generally look better on that small screen. I don't know. I mean, it'd be interesting to see what Chris has to say about it. But, I mean, Yeah, same as you, really. Like, I don't hate it, but I just don't love it.
Shame. You've just burst my bubble.
Sorry. I like to say, I don't hate it either. It's not as good as I hoped it was going to be. Maybe I over hyped myself for it, perhaps.
Yeah. Well, look, just to kind of round this off as well, I just want to say that it isn't that bad to have a game and have it be received this way, because I think we're in a weird area where a game either has to be absolutely fantastic, or just it's dog shit. The in-between games, I think we're just not used to getting these games anymore.
I agree.
And we don't really know what to kind of say and who to recommend it to, and it's tricky because the problems that you're saying are the situation, and that's what you have, and you don't really enjoy the control schemes, and it does this, that, and the other. But then I mightn't have that case, and I might think, it's all right. Now the story situation is I'm kind of a bit disappointed to hear that, because I don't know, games that are just like really arty, like trying to be super arty, and you kind of have to make it up yourself. Look, I don't really have time for it anymore. I'm just kind of like, let me have a really nice adventure in this nice little world. But that's like I could play it and not have that issue. I don't know, I can make up my own little story. But look,
I mean, I would be surprised. Well, I expect there will be a couple of 9s. So we don't know at the time of recording. A couple of 9s maybe.
Gosh,
but
that would shock me.
I wouldn't. I would expect it, but I would suspect this will peter out between sort of 65, 75 on the old Metacritic.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, I think so.
But then it's so weird, because it is that thing where people probably won't go near it then if it does all come out to like 6s and 7s. It's
I mean,
weird, that, isn't it? You get that.
Well,
it's 6 and 7, which is actually not a bad.
Not at all.
It's good.
Not at all. It's been discussed many times.
It's seen. Yeah, it's just seen as it's shit.
Yeah.
Don't play it unless it's like 8, 9.
Yeah.
I mean, to read a little bit of Chris's review, I don't want to speak for him, but these are his words. When Faye was over and I'd seen the beauty within its forests, I wasn't sure how I felt. It's a gorgeous looking game, but there's little guidance unless you keep calling for a bird to show you the way, and some of the puzzles go on for too long once you get past a certain point. I enjoyed it, don't get me wrong, but I often felt distracted by the obtuse nature of some of these bits, and it started to drag a bit towards the end. I mean, he's kind of succinctly said
pretty much what we've just said, isn't it?
I should have just read that. But well, let's move away then from a game that I reckon is going to get 65s to 75s to a game that we know has already got like. I mean, I don't know what the Metacritic is of Shadow of the Colossus actually, but Adam, you've to check in. You said you'd probably finish it, and I'm guessing you have now. Yeah,
I finished it. So, to go back over last week's episode, I was explaining how I'm getting on with it, okay? And I just want to I was on about the controls, right? The control situation kind of bothering me in terms of when you're climbing the Colossi, how awkward it kind of is. I kind of want to go back and say, after finishing the game, I now don't actually have a problem with that mechanic, and I am now in that group where if you haven't played the game, I can't say anything.
I haven't played it.
Yeah,
have you? I was going to ask you. You haven't played it?
I haven't. No, I want to.
Okay.
I want to, and one of those reasons is photo mode. I'm not going to lie.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm now in that group of people who just now go, wait, just play it, you'll see, whatever, Grant. I was totally blown away. It totally lived up to the ending that everyone
Really?
Yeah, I was.
That's cool.
And that's, as I said, the last time I've repeated a few times, but the situation when the game came out and people were like, oh, you'll feel bad. I was like, oh, is that a spoiler? Because I've never heard that until this remaster, or whatever you want to call it, came out. It totally hit me in a very unusual way, to a point when I was talking to a friend about it who had finished it years ago. It was a totally different experience that we kind of felt, and it's pointless me even banging on about it, because if you haven't played it, it means jack shit, But all I can say is that the game is a very, very special game. It does.
It's like the guy down the market. Trust me, these are the best oranges, mate. You won't get oranges any better than it's anywhere else, Gav. Come, trust me, just do it, just try. And you're like, no, I can't say anything, just trust me. And you're right, but
and it is the game is very moving. Once you know the situation, but it does live up to the hype, and even all the scores that came out. No, it is probably the definitive way to play this game, and in some ways, I'm kind of almost glad I haven't played it until this released, you know, because it just, the world is so, when you finish the game and look back upon the world, it's so weird how it hits you. And like when the game finished, I kind of was like, Jesus, is that, wow, okay, all right, fair enough. And then I went off and I did my business and went about the place, and the next day I woke up and I thought of the game again, and I was like, oh, what? That game is really just sitting there with me now, and it has been ever since. And I don't think I've played many games like it. And one thing I will say, because I've played The Last Guardian, right, and I'm playing this fucking series backwards, which is hilarious, because I did The Last Guardian, did Shadow, and hopefully Ico or Eco, whatever you want to call it, will come out to this
level. I was just going to say, do you think they will make Eco?
They must do. They will do now, won't they?
I think so too, yeah. I do.
See, that's one I haven't played either.
Yeah. And I'm all for it now. But the thing about it is, like, when I finished Shadow, I kind of went to myself, Jesus Christ, dedicated fans, like fans who were there since day one with this series, must have been so pissed off with The Last Guardian. They had to have been. Like,
well, I don't know. That game split critics and fans alike, I think.
Man, I don't know how. Like,
I still haven't played it. Just
don't.
Like, well, that's it. I think from what people have said, I'm just like, I don't think it can be asked.
Like, when I was talking about, like, the awkward controls in Shadow, there is a reason I felt to it. With The Last Guardian, there's also awkward controls, but it's just being a dickhead. That's all that game is doing. It's just being a dickhead. The controls are so awful. And it's kind of weird, because if I played Shadow of the Colossus and then I was like, oh my god, that game is amazing, I have to get Last Guardian, I would have played Last Guardian and probably not went back into like Eco when it came out. Like, I don't know, it's just so bizarre, these three games, how they seem to kind of work. I don't know, like, and Shadow is going for such an amazing price, and Nicola, you should absolutely play it, because
I will, but my god, you should see my pile of shame. Honestly, it's a nightmare.
Yeah.
Oh, like, I'm the exact same, and I was kind of like,
this is the best one of the three. I will say that. I think there'd be people who'd be angry at me for saying that, because I think Eco holds a special place in people's hearts, but I firmly believe Colossus is the best of the three by some distance, actually.
But one thing I will say is that when all the critics were coming out with it, and you could see people on Twitter kind of saying, like, I've seen 2 or 3 people on Twitter get this version of Shadow and midway through stop playing because they feel bad. Like, which I kind of went, fucking hell, really? Like, is it that intense or something? And since I finished it, yeah, the bad feeling is there, but I have totally a different feeling as well. And I think a conversation, like, with a group of people about this game would be so amazing. Like, and how people would feel, and how video games can make you feel. It's absolutely superb. Like, it really is. But it blows my mind with The Last Guardian. I just can't, like, I don't know how fans can kind of go, I think fans are kind of like wanting to believe that it is a good game and state it without kind of going, yeah, it is poor, because it's not playable. Like, well, it is. it is, but like, it's not really. Like, there is moments just of pure potluck, and you're just...
The thing is, people waited so long for that game. I understand why people sort of maybe excused it of things, because that game, you got to remember, was like 10 years in development or whatever it was, and I understand why people are able to give it a pass. I don't know how people came to 9 out of 10s for it. Maybe they just had...
Jesus Christ,
maybe
I don't
they
know what...
just had, right? Well, no, let me put it this way. Imagine if you played that game, right, and you had just pure... incredible luck, and every time Trico just did exactly what you wanted him to do, that game would be a different experience.
Yeah, it would have been.
Maybe that's possible. It certainly didn't happen for me. It didn't happen for Chris. Most people I know, I think it didn't happen for. But maybe and that's AI at the end of the day. Maybe I'm stretching. I'm playing devil's advocate again.
But isn't the AI deliberately annoying?
Well, I don't know.
In Guardian,
I feel like it is.
In The Last Guardian?
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus Christ. It can't be.
I think it is. I think he's supposed to be a wild animal that you can't fully tame, because that stands to reason that there are, slight spoilers. There are sections where things happen to him that make him a bit weird, and I feel like that's in keeping with, look, you can't tame this beast. But
sounds like it was a step backwards though, because Aggro was kind of like that.
But I still
he
maintain
didn't always do exactly what you did.
No,
what you wanted him to do. But
you could get off of him and fight. Sometimes you do need him for some Colossi. But I always feel like,
which
and again,
is brilliant as well.
This.
By the way, that moment you just said is brilliant.
Yeah, I know. I feel like with Colossus, it's not the same kind of game. Like, it's a puzzle game a puzzle combat game. Whereas I feel like in Last Guardian, I still believe, and they can never admit this, I believe that they just literally said, look, you have 1 month. This game is being shipped in 1 month. End of. We don't care. Here's this team that are going to help you do it. Or 6 months, or whatever. It's going out. And I really do feel like that happened. I do feel like they were just told this game is shipping.
No, this game's got to go out.
Yeah. This enough is enough. A bit like, I personally believe that's what happened with kind of Metal Gear Solid 5. People talk about there being no ending as such. Again, I feel like it was a case of they just said, you've had enough money, the game's going out.
Yeah.
Do you think that they knew they were going to do Shadow of the Colossus, and they
Not
were like,
then, no.
we need this to be finished, and then
I doubt it really. I just think I think Shadow, it was such a popular game and it hit so many sweet spots for people. I think the pressure was on with delivering The Last Guardian. I think the fact it was supposed to be originally a PS3 game and then being brought to the PS4, and I think there was just a massive mess, because tonally The Last Guardian, it does have the tone of those games, and that's one thing I will say as well, by the way. It has, both Shadow and The Last Guardian have a tone in video games that I've never truly felt. I think it's very unique in its atmosphere, and both have endings that are very strong. The Last Guardian's ending is strong. But Shadow is
only the cutscene. By the way, I would have to argue with you otherwise. The actual ending, where you're climbing this orb thing.
Bollocks! That thing. Yeah.
After that, it kind of just goes, and that's fine. But that, yeah.
But Shadow is just more powerful. But it's so weird because, even when you're playing The Last Guardian, it's forever giving you tutorial tips, telling you how to climb up and stuff from start to finish, and none of that really is in Shadow. And I'm always I just think the design of The Last Guardian it's just such a mess. It's such a mess of so many silly ideas, and I
love the fact that we're talking about Shadow, but you can't help. You have The Last Guardian. You know what I mean? You can't help.
Absolutely,
it annoys you so much.
Yeah, it does, because of just how powerful Shadow got me. Do you know what I mean? It's very hard to not speak about the next chapter that does exist.
I suppose so. Yeah.
And it's
it's highlighting its problems more
completely, and
how good Shadow of Colossus is.
It does slightly upset me from a gaming standpoint, because of how good Shadow was for me, that I can't now go back and play. Well, I can, but I'll be breaking my controller. But play the last Guardian and be now I can see so much more within this game. Now I know what that means and the whole purpose of these moments. But I can't. I just can't, because it's not playable for me. It just isn't. But I guarantee you, Nicola, when you play it, you will have the exact same feeling, because I think any person that would play Shadow and go, yeah, I'm oh Jesus, you're just fucking Satan. You're just
you're dead inside.
You're just absolutely dead. What is wrong with you? But I actually got through the game, I think, in 6 hours.
Oh wow!
It's not a long game. It's
not long at all.
Oh, but it's got photo mode. That means it'll take me 25.
Yeah, that's possibly true. Actually.
Yeah. Photo mode is actually quite good. I don't normally use those kind of things in games, but I did it once or twice, and I was oh, that's quite amazing. But yeah, I'm just really happy I've gotten around to playing this game. I'm delighted it came back like to us, because I probably wouldn't. Like, I have the PS2 version, but I wouldn't have ever played it. You know what I mean?
I'm glad that they've redone it and done it properly, because I will play it, and it kind of, because I've played Okami recently as well. At the end of last year, and that was a game that I missed out on and always wanted to play. So I was really pleased that they brought that out again. I mean, I know they've done it before on the 360 and the PS3, but it was just really cool to play that, because I was like, oh, you know, when you hear about these games that are something special, and you think, well, I don't have a system to play it on anymore, or, you know, oh, it's too old now, and they've got so many other games to play. Yeah. I'm just never going to get round to it. I think that I will definitely play this at some point.
I think, like, when you were saying Okami and stuff, like, I have Okami too, but I just heard recently that it's like 60 hours long, so I'm like, oh, what? I didn't know that at all.
It's an odd one, Okami, because I thought I'd finished it twice. Yeah. And I still haven't finished it, and I'm like 35 hours in. I'm like, what the hell? Yeah. What else have I got to do?
Like, I'll get to that eventually and stuff, but I think we can all agree that the whole remaster of games coming out and stuff, it is kind of almost becoming a parody, because it's just like, we're just getting everything again, you know. And there's actually a new story coming up about a rumour of a certain title that we're getting probably, but it's kind of like, okay, cool, but I think games like Shadow, Okami, I guess, and stuff like that, I'd go as far as to say we should probably get like the other Yakuza games and stuff. Like,
well, they're doing Kiwami too.
Oh, are they? Okay,
yeah,
cool.
They haven't announced it for the West, but I mean, there's a demo of Kiwami 2 on the Japanese store, like, so that is happening. It's a weird situation, because it's like, well, the brand new one the new engine that looks all new and is for new consoles is out in a couple of months. So, like, you're not going to release the other games in that period. So what do you want people to do? I guess it's for fans who would like to play them again, but I mean, Kiwami's terrific, you know. It's a weird situation, but I think they will. I think they will probably go through them again.
Yeah, and it's cool. It's cool to get these kind of games, like. But like, I don't need. Like, I think like when the likes of Crash and stuff came out, I was like, yeah, wow, cool, brilliant. Played it, hard as nails. Don't want to play that again. Yep. Like, that's the way it was, you know. But I think games like Shadow, they come out and they're like going for like a 30, 40 quid price, and it's an immaculate game. Like, it has truly great moments. I want more of these, because there's definitely a couple that I have missed out on, and I definitely think there's a few. Like, it's amazing that we're here right now, and to last week it would have been myself and Nicola, like, we wouldn't have played this. Like, Nicola still hasn't played it, and it's such an important game.
Because I've got a crippling Rainbow Six Siege addiction. It's crippling.
Also, the last thing I just want to say about it is the music is phenomenal.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
It is so nice, man. And I tell you, I was so devastated to go on and see it's not in Spotify or anything, and I'm like, for fuck's sake, it's an amazing score. But yeah, loved it. I want to just talk about spoilers.
There's a reason why I bought the CD way back, like when the PS2 one came out, cause this soundtrack has to be bought.
Yeah, man.
It's so good.
But going from a game then that, like, I guess is an old game that people have been waiting a long time for. This next game, I actually think people have also been waiting for a long time for. Like, I personally really enjoyed the full part 1. I think it even came out on Wii. That's how long ago it was.
It was Wii U.
Wii U, okay. Now, you've played and reviewed the full part 2, Gary, and I think you're going to have to give us a refresher, certainly myself, because although I played it and I was like, oh, I can't wait for part 2. This is great. What a cool story. What a fun way to deliver this story. I can't remember jack shit about how the full ended, part 1, and I am going to play part 2. It's just, it feels like maybe it's been too long.
I mean, I think...
Was it 4 years?
I think it was 3. 3 years since it came out, I think it was.
That's a long time to wait for part 2.
Yeah, I think it kind of has the downside of being quite a niche title. You know, because like most people won't have heard of it, so you'll be like, oh, the full part 2? I didn't even know there was a part 1, you know.
Yeah.
Especially it being so long.
They'll probably think it's something to do with the band.
Or the TV show.
Really? Yeah.
But no, it's hard to talk about the story because you don't want to spoil the ending for anyone who hasn't played the first one.
Well, I think you should tell people what kind of game this is, because I do genuinely think, and we've got a few games we're going to be talking about coming up actually that are probably games you've never heard of. But I always say it's important that people know about those as much as the Shadow of the Colossuses and Monster Hunters that we'll talk about. These games matter too. So what kind of game is the full Part 2?
It's sort of a cross between a platformer and a point-and-click kind of adventure. The whole thing was, like the first game, you were an AI aboard like a combat suit. The reason it's called the Fall is because this suit falls out of orbit onto this random planet, and you're the AI on board trying to save the pilot inside the suit, who is... You don't know whether he's dead or unconscious or whatever, but the entire time you're trying to break your programming so that you can do shit to keep him alive, basically. The second one kind of... It takes place pretty much directly after. I won't tell you what happens at the very end because it's just unfair to anyone who's not played it, because I genuinely think everyone should play this game. It's fantastic. Just for the story. But yeah, the second one, you're basically... The suit is hooked up to this computer, and basically it's trying to put a virus inside you. And so most of this game takes place within like mainframes, and it's a bit more platform Metroidvania kind of thing.
Okay.
So it's still like side-scrolling as the normal game is, but there's a bit more sort of jumping around, and because you're not like bound by, I suppose, like gravity. Basically, you can move around a lot more freely, and you're fighting off the like sort of black blobs of ink. That's what they look like. They're like parts of the virus trying to attack you.
Right.
And basically you're trying to find ways to discover who is trying to put this virus in you. And to do that, you go through other robots that are basically connected to this mainframe, and you'll find... There's 3 of them throughout the game, and you'll find them as you go through. Each one's like quite different. Like the first one you get is a butler. And you're basically... You go into his consciousness, but he's still in control. So you're trying to get him to do various things that are against his programming. So you're essentially trying to rewire his thinking.
Gotcha.
It's almost like Crichton.
I was thinking about that when you first said that, yeah.
Yeah, it's very much like a similar... Like the original Crichton, a very proper...
Yeah, the Tony Slattery
English
one.
butler kind of thing. Yeah, it's like that.
That's a fucking pull, by the way. That's a pull, knowing that was Tony Slattery. That is a pull. And I want someone to tweet me and say how great I am, because that is some pull. I'm telling you now.
But yeah, it's very cool. I mean, the second one you fight is basically this martial arts robot, and he calls himself One, and basically he is part of the many, which is like a basic collective consciousness of all these robots that are the same, but he's somehow managed to kind of break that and become like himself.
What, like 7 of 9?
But yeah, that sort of thing. But he doesn't look like a person. He's got the he's got the frame of a person, but he's not got any skin or anything like that. He's just pure mechanical.
So a bit like Legion from Red Dwarf.
We're
Again,
going full on with
at
this, aren't we?
But
the thing with him, which I found really good, have any of you ever played One Finger Death Punch?
No,
It's on
not
PC.
Me.
No.
I've heard of it.
It was all like, you were basically like a stick man, and you basically you clicked either the left or the right mouse button to hit your left or right side, basically, and people would come at you, and it was ridiculously fun. It was all martial arts, and there's a similar thing in this one, where at points you get the rest of the many are trying to come in and basically take you down. And it's the same thing, you've just got to press like one button for either side and you get this cool little martial arts face-off. It's really cool. I had a lot of fun with that. I was very surprised because it's not really anything I expected to see in a game which is mostly puzzle-based. You know, it's like a point-and-click one, basically, in the fact that you'll be walking around and you'll see little magnifying glass icons dotted around for things that you can interact with. And it's basically you're learning about the world, and through that you'll find a door that can be opened by doing something else, that kind of thing. But its biggest problem, and this was the same with the first part, is sometimes just have no idea.
Oh well, I think you were going to say. I was going to guess because the one thing I didn't like about the full part one is that sometimes the puzzles were like, "This is too much, man." I'm enjoying it enough. It's one of those where I was enjoying it enough that I would go and look at a walkthrough just because I enjoyed the story. But at the same time, I felt like I should be intelligent enough that these puzzles should be solvable for me. You know,
it's so frustrating when like these kind of indie like games come out and they have puzzles and have a challenge, but fuck it, like so many of them are just like I have to look this up. I can't figure it out.
Yeah.
Do you know?
I mean, I think when I played the first game, I did have to do that.
I did too, yeah.
One or two bits, because I was I have no idea. Yep. This one, I did kind of manage to brute force my way in some of them. It was just like, it was that old thing, like your point and clicks, when you're just like, okay, just combine that with that and that with that. You know, just combine everything with everything else and just try and get it to work. It was like that in places. And in the end, it's kind of like, okay, I kind of see where how you were trying to get me there, but you just didn't make it clear enough.
Does it? So if this is spoilery, feel free to just say I'm not answering that. Does this end, or is there going to be a part 3?
There's going to be a part 3.
Oh, well, there's no rush for me to play it then, is there? There's no rush for me to play this one.
It's like, if it's another 3 years before the next one comes out, it's like, I suppose it's like Star Wars, you know, it's like if you'd have watched Empire back when it first came out, and then you're like, what the fuck? You know, I've got to wait however long for the next part, and
I guess, yeah.
It's that kind of thing, because it's another strong ending. Again, not spoiling anything, but it's another strong ending that makes you go, what? Where's this going? No, I need to know what happens. Okay. But now I've got to wait probably another 3 years to find out. But I mean, sort of in summary, it's a cracking story. It's a decent game. You just have to be aware that there's some twatty puzzles in there.
Twatty puzzle.
I mean, at this point, you'll probably have walkthroughs and stuff. You'll be able to, if you need help. I was lucky enough to just brute force my way through, like I say, but I'd still highly recommend it.
Well, from one puzzler to another puzzler, another puzzle platformer, I think, actually. Nicola, Samsara?
Samsara, yes.
That's a puzzle platformer, right?
No.
I mean, this
why
caught
do
my
I
eye
not know what this is?
Why what, sorry?
Why do I not know what this is? It's I recognise the name somehow, but I don't know
it got my eye to the point of thinking we should probably have a look at this, because the trailer I saw looked beautiful.
It's not a platformer. It's a pure puzzle game.
Okay.
You basically have to get this little lad called Z from one area through a portal. So, excuse me, sorry, my dog has just come to visit me, so I'm distracted slightly. Sorry. So you've got to help this little lad. I assume it's a boy. Let me start from the beginning. So
this is the game that looks like Little Red Riding Hood's the character, right? Yeah, it is the one I'm thinking of. Okay,
yeah, I'm looking at screenshots now.
It is. Nice. It's really pretty. You have to basically help this lad get through the portal by placing objects in the world, and it's got a mirror to it. So you've got the top side world, and then underneath is like a reflection, as if it was in a pool of water or something like that. But the underneath isn't always a complete reflection of the top. So you place these objects in the world. If you place them in the underneath part of the world, they will reflect in the upper world as a mirror image. So you have to just kind of place these objects to help Z get from point A to point B in each of the 70-odd puzzles that the game has got. It's not particularly difficult. As you were saying, like the Fall has got some really obtuse puzzles. I didn't find any of the... Well, there were maybe like 2 or 3 that stumped me for more than a couple of minutes. But they weren't particularly difficult. It gets more complicated as you get further. So you start off, and these objects that you've got, like, are just simple squares, or if you laid it on its side, it would form steps for Z to walk up. And you can rotate them round, and you can place them in the underneath world, and they'll reflect in a different way in the upper world, etc. But you don't have that many shapes to place in the world. Gradually, it gets more complicated. So you'll have an object that seems like it's made of concrete, and that behaves in a different way. And then later on, there's another object that seems like it's made out of gold, and that behaves in another way. So that, like, for example, if you place it in the underneath world, it will drop, as in, like, it's got reverse gravity in the upper world. So instead of dropping down, it actually goes higher up. So you have to place it in a certain way in the underneath world for it to be in the right position in the upper world, if you know what I mean. It's about just trying to place these objects, knowing the different properties that they have and how they're going to ultimately place themselves in the upper and the lower world, because as you progress further in, Z then gets a reflective person in the lower world that you have to help get to his own portal as well. So it does get a little bit complicated, but you're never really placing more than maybe 5 or 6 objects at once. And I don't know, maybe... I've always been quite good at spatial puzzles anyway, so I didn't find it particularly challenging, and I thought that was a bit of a negative, really, because I never felt... when you have a puzzle game and a puzzle kind of stumps you for a bit, and then you go, oh, and you get that kind of...
Portal 2 was the best for
yeah,
that.
you get that kind of like eureka moment, don't you? Going, brilliant,
Yeah.
I've just worked it out. I never really got that feeling from playing Samsara, which was a bit disappointing. I enjoyed it. I did enjoy it. I had a good time with it, but it was a bit... It never seemed to get going, if you know what I mean. They sort of added in a few... Like, oh, here it is. Here's a different property object, which changes it a little bit. But it always felt like it never quite got where it needed to get to, if you know what I mean. It's like it'd give you too many puzzles. Like, there's 70-odd puzzles. And they're just essentially the same thing over and over again. It didn't have much variety. So by the end of it, I was just a bit like... another one. I'm just having
a look here at the screenshots. It reminds me a lot of I'd say they took influence from Stranger Things because of the upside down.
Yeah, and there's a few bits that I've read afterwards. Like a lot of the preview stuff, and it was saying about there's a bit of a Stranger Things vibe to it with the upside down world.
Yeah,
kind of, but. I don't know. I did like it. Again, I sound really like I'm not into these games. I did enjoy it. I just felt like it wasn't... It could have been better, if you know what I mean. Oh, I always feel so bad when I'm really critical like that, but it just doesn't seem to get going. It's not... It wasn't...
In terms of the story, did it...
See, there's not
carry
really...
you along?
No, again, the story-wise, it's like this boy kind of falls into a portal that transports him to another dimension, I guess. And the other boy, I assume Z has been fractured in some way, or that's just his opposite. I don't really know, but you ultimately kind of unite these two boys together. But story-wise, it's just a sequence of puzzles across pretty backgrounds, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why that keeps happening. Like, even if they fucking made a story of him going down to get a bottle of milk or something, and he fell into a portal and this is it.
What I actually
I don't know,
thought
something.
when I was playing, like, the Upside Down world has got a kind of... It's kind of a bit eerie, the Upside Down world. I'd have liked that to have been explored a little bit. Do you know, explained a little bit how he's fallen through this portal and where he is. You know, where is he? You know, 1 minute he's playing in the park.
Sounds a bit Silent Hill.
1 minute he's playing in the park chasing a squirrel. The next minute he's in a weird upside down reflective world. I don't really get it. I just felt like it could have had a little bit more exposition.
Okay.
It was alright though. I quite liked it.
No, Nicola, you said you hate it. You hate every game now you're saying this
everything.
podcast.
Everything I've ever played. No. I did like it, but it was just a bit...
Yeah.
I feel like we've definitely filled our indie quota for this week. So let's talk about one other game that Gary's been playing that no one's heard of. It's not. Yeah, I don't know. He's gonna have to he's gonna have to explain the mechanics and get us through so we can all talk about Fortnite, Gary.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's heard of this one. It's
you know, bless them, Epic. They're trying, but no one's really playing it apparently.
No, it was one of those things. Like, obviously, I've said it week in, week out recently that I've been playing PUBG. And so it kind of felt like it was about time I tried out the Battle Royale on this. I like it. It's not the same.
Yeah, no, it's not. It's not.
Which is, obviously, it's not exactly the same, but...
I think it might be better, Gaz.
I don't know.
Should I be giving this a better go? Should I?
You should be. You should be giving it a go, and you should be playing it with people like us.
Why did you proper whispered that, Adam? Like it was
because you're not allowed to think this.
To say it.
No, you're not. You're not allowed to say it. I said it. I did say it when they first sort of when they basically did it, and people were like, "Oh, how dare they? They're copying the idea," and they are. There's no pretense around that. Gaz will vouch for me here, I'm sure, but. I really think the building adds such a different element to it, and the thing is as well as PUBG is very. I mean, everyone's played it, right? Everyone has played it.
Yep.
The PUBG. I mean, everyone knows it's
almost everyone.
Yeah, no, I know Adam has played it. I think he has played it.
Oh, have you played it?
I played it like an hour at a friend's house, but that's what started me wanting everything with this.
But the thing is, PUBG is a specific type of shooter, right? Do you know what I mean by that? Like it is. There's a reason the guy who developed it came.
World.
It came from the armor mods and stuff, didn't it? It's Fortnite isn't. Fortnite is. I hesitate to say this, but more Overwatchy in its kind of.
I'd say it's easier.
Definitely easier.
It is definitely, yeah.
Because I mean, I had no. I think it was my second game. I was top 10. Whereas I mean, it took me quite a few to get anywhere near that.
Let's not forget though that this has been built specifically by a team who are very experienced of making this kind of game. Not this kind of game, but making games for consoles. And obviously, I know I'm talking PUBG specifically about console, but even PUBG was initially a mod for a kind of sketchy shooty game anyway, wasn't it? I mean, it's a mod of a mod, isn't it, PUBG, if I'm right?
Kind of. I think the mod eventually gave way to this creation from scratch. Obviously, it's based on an engine, but the idea was, right, we'll do our own thing, and this is going to be PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. And
if I remember right, it was basically, it was like everyone wanted DayZ.
Yeah.
Or DayZ,
yeah. It's kind of the evolution, I guess, the final evolution, as it were.
Yeah, because I believe the idea came from that. Yeah. It was like, how about we do this without the zombies? And, then came the circles and stuff like that.
I just think Fortnite's cool. Like, I watch my youngest plays it as much as he plays Overwatch, which is a lot. And I forget what I was doing. I was thinking, I put on Twitter like I was restrung some guitars and I was noodling around in that, and he was just playing it, and I could just over my headphones just could hear random stuff, and he was down to like the last 7 again, and he was doing really well, and then there was him and his mate left out of a 4-man squad, and suddenly someone spotted him, started shooting him, and he just starts going, I'm panic building, and he was just putting walls up all around him, and there were stairs and stuff, and it's like, I think, and some of the clips of what people do. This game's got potential for some. It's almost like Zelda-like in its emergent gameplayness. Like people have. This is one clip where people have built a tower, as high as you can go in the game, you know what I mean? And it's high, and then they just jump off it, and just as they land, they shotgun the last person alive, and although the full damage will have killed them, they get the kill first. Do you know? And that stuff is so... And, like, some of the people, and it must be on PC, but some of the way people are building in this, it's just like, whoa.
I watched my son play it, and he's so fast at building these columns with the stairs. He's so fast at it. And then I watched him the other day. He actually got the Victory Royale. That's Victory Royale.
Yeah.
God, I can't even say that. Victory Royale.
Victory.
And what he did is he had a launch pad, I think, that he'd picked up.
It's a trap,
and he launch padded right at the top, and they were shooting the base of his tower, so that he was going to die. And he just launch padded himself off and went and landed in their base and shotgunned them both and won.
Yep.
And I was like, that was really cool,
it's impressive.
That was really cool.
It is. But people act like because it's more arcadey, there's no strategy. There is. Like, in the same way in PUBG, if you fire a shot, you've given yourself away. So in this, there's another element to that. So you can... I watched my boy, and he was sat there, because there's some sort of, like, you can turn into a bush, can't you?
Yeah, you have to find it's an object that you find.
Yeah. That's right, but it's like you turn into a bush, so you'll cover. And he was sat there watching this guy across the lake building his house. And I was like, are you going to take him out? And he's like, well, not yet. And then I said, you've got a sniper though, mate, take him out. And what he actually did was he shot the house. So he's destroying the guy's cover. And of course, that's a two-pronged thing. First of all, now that guy knows you know where he is. So this guy's frantically trying to rebuild his house, and I'm there thinking, mate, why are you trying to rebuild? He's got a sniper. You know he's got a sniper. You've got to get away. Like, use the cover to hide while you run away. You know, create 3 walls all the way back, and they don't know which way you've gone. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's just this... But also at the same time, my son George has given his position away. He doesn't know how many of this guy's squad's left. But equally, the guy who's building a house, you don't know how many of his squad are left. Maybe his squad are now flanking. Maybe he is just continuing to the build because his other 3 mates are flanking round the side of you and about to blow you away. Like, it's arcadey in how it feels. Like, there's a lot of... it's very Halo in the way that a lot of people are sort of jumping and shooting around, like, because that's a good way to avoid being killed because you're mobile. But there's a reason this game has caught on in the same way, and there's a reason, and it's not just because it's free. Free gets you in the door. You still have to have the gameplay to keep people.
It's a good game.
It is.
It's got a lot better, actually, because I didn't like it when I first started playing it, but I've played a couple of games, and I've played a couple of games with my son as well. He's so good at it, though. He's so good at the sniper.
The kids
are ridiculous.
Good. Yep. But don't you find... I'm not going to say this. Well, listen, who cares? I find the shooting in PUBG hard, whereas I find Fortnite's more... Again, it's more... I like more arcadey shooters. There's a reason I love Titanfall too, you know. So it feels good and you get kills. PUBG, I can go 10 minutes... And also, Fortnite's quicker. Like, the game... And we mentioned it in the news, they're being very reactive about how they developed this game. I mean, they can now. Like, Epic have... This is what they've got, isn't it? Like, they closed that we talked about the other week. This is the only game they've got. But it's a really good... You know, Adam, you should give it another try. You should. You really should.
How is the community in it?
Good, from what I've seen. I've seen some...
I've not had any issues.
Like, I know there's a high volume of kids and stuff playing, but, like, do people get very cross if you're...
I haven't seen that.
That's a huge thing for me in games. Like, that's why I don't play many. Because it's just, if someone gets beefy in a game, I'm just like, look, I'm
you don't have to play in squads. You can play solo, like same as in PUBG. You don't have to squad up. I've seen my kids get annoyed at each other. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
But then I've also seen them. Like, oh, he's found such and such ammo, and his mate needs it, so he drops it for him. You know, I've seen a lot of that. You know, there was what was the most minigun, and then what did they put in a new weapon, a crossbow? But with the minigun, I think they didn't find the minigun great, but they picked it up. And they're playing with their mates, and it's like, oh, his mates, can I have a go on that? Because I haven't actually used it. Drops him, lets him have a go on it, uses it. Yeah, okay, gives it back to him. You know, that I think that's, you know, there's definitely that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I mean,
I'll get it. I'll give it another shot.
Gary,
I personally,
maybe we'll play together.
I personally don't like the PvE that much.
No, I tried.
But I don't like it that much in PUBG. Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, I really like PUBG. Obviously,
yeah.
I've said this. I prefer the more realistic, slower pace to it.
Okay.
But I also quite like the speedy nature of this one, and just I don't know. There's a bit more of a fun factor to it, you know. And I do think it'll probably be better played with other people. But I mean, going back to the PvE stuff, it's just, I don't know, it's a little bit dull.
I don't understand. I still don't understand it.
I mean, I've not played enough of it to really get a sense of how much it changes and develops. But
the thing is in single player, the tactics I just mentioned kind of disappear, because if you're building a house in single player, you are only building it for yourself. There's no, I wonder how many people are there left in that squad. That's gone. And I think the squad aspect, the idea that you have up to 4 people in a squad, I think that literally makes the building more viable, because if you're on your own and you're building, you're just using for cover or to get, a vantage point, whereas it takes the saves the world mode, where you are literally fort defense, and brings that into a PUBG style battle royale, because you have a reason to build a fort to defend yourself in a circle if there's 4 of you. Whereas if there's just 1v1v1v1, you may as well just have a massive. I'm sure people do, but do you see what I mean? Like, I think that's why I feel stronger about squads, because I liked base Fortnite. We've talked about that many times, but the building makes more sense to me in squads. You have perhaps someone scavenging while 2 others build, and the other one's on lookout. Yeah. It adds that. Yeah.
You have that. Yeah, you have that thing where you can build cover when someone's been downed. You can build cover so that then you can get in and help them up. I saw it a lot I watched some videos of the 50v50 mode.
Yeah.
And that was a lot. I mean, you get to the end of that, and it was basically just like 2 sides of just building massive like structures and just shooting off the top and stuff like that. It was actually quite fun to watch. I don't know if that. Did that mode come to consoles?
It did, but what they're doing is there tend to be a lot of stuff that's limited time, so they bring that mode in, and they don't often give you like a long lead time. It's like, hey, guess what, new mode, or hey, guess what, new weapon, and they're keeping the community on their toes. They've brought. I think 50V's come a few times on console now. It's cycled in and out a couple of times. It's a free game, essentially, at the end of the day. It's got monetization in it. My kids occasionally say, can I buy a battle pass? I read a story that I think the season 3 or whatever isn't going to be able to be bought with real money, so that's, I haven't researched that enough, but
it looks like it's going to be bought only with, is it V-Bucks or something like that?
Yeah.
It's like that. So technically you could still buy it with real money, but you'll have to use that real money to buy the bucks.
We should play. We should play this together. We should have a good session on it.
Yes.
We should do that.
Yeah, I'm up for it.
Speaking of games to have sessions with, Adam thought it would do. I'm not talking about myself in third person. I'm talking about Adam Carroll. Thought it would be a good time now. A couple of weeks have passed that we had a bit of a chinwag about Monster Hunter World. Because I think, sorry to Gary, I know he's not played it, but it's
no, it's all right. You just all tell me what I'm missing out on.
Yeah. Well, we're all high rank now, and I found it interesting because the other night I realised that because I think Adam and I agreed that it's like a 10 out of 10, 8 out of 10.
Yeah.
It's a weird situation that I can't stop playing it.
Is
but
that a bit
it is
like
an 8 out of 10.
It's 100% effective 80% of the time or whatever? Is that,
basically,
yeah. Okay, yeah. Like that.
I love this game, but I also absolutely despise elements of it. And I found that what we were doing is we were sitting there playing missions, going through the story, doing expeditions, blah, 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 and we were kind of moaning about the game's faults while still playing the game. And it's a really strange game, and the more I play of it, the more strange it is. Just out of the gate, right? So I finished I mean, I don't even see. This is the thing. I don't want to spoil it, but at the same time, I've never given less of a shit about a story in a game than I do in this.
Yeah, the story can just go away.
Like there's a mission involving Magdaros.
Can we talk about this mission?
I think we have to, because you
God.
do it once early on.
We're talking about
you do it again.
The final, the finale with the Zora.
Well, I assume it's it goes away essentially. So this is the weird thing. That feels like the end of the game, but it's not the end of the game. And if it was the end of the game, I'd be so disappointed, because the first time you do that exact mission, it's shit.
It's garbage.
It's so different. It's different from the rest of the game. Then they make you do it again. And it's actually worse.
Yeah, you just do it again. Like, that's what I'm saying. It's just...
But you do it from the other way round, don't you, if I remember correctly? So instead of shooting it all, then jumping on it, or do you not? I can't remember.
Yeah, you start off shooting it, and then you jump on it, and then you...
Yeah, and the second
time you get on it, and then you shoot at it. But it's utter garbage.
It's awful. And it's like, then you get this ridiculously long cutscene that I couldn't give a shit. I just want to kill monsters. Well, I want to hunt them. I want to capture them now. So I did that, and then that's the second time is where you get to the high rank stuff, and it just basically says, yeah, go and look in the Wild Spire Waste. So I did that, and I'm my fault probably. I'm forgetting at this point. I haven't clicked options and save. My fault. So I go and do this mission, and you find is it Puke, the bird that spits poison at you with this time? So I find that, and I'm on my own, and the one thing I've found is because I use guns and ranged, it's better with people, and I think the game's better with people, full stop. But I realise, this is going to be a long fight, and it gets to the point where it says the enemy's going to leave the area, and I'm like, shit! Like this is an expedition, but it's actually a mission I have to do, and it's going to leave. And then it says the enemy's left the area. It hadn't. By the way, it hadn't. I don't know why it said that it had, because it hadn't. It was right in front of me. It never disappeared. I got it. I killed it, and expedition mission finished. Blah blah blah. You get that, the screen at the end of every mission that tells you hunter rank. Blah blah blah. All that, and it says saving. It finishes saving, and then it cuts to the loading me back into Asteria, and then my PS4 just turned off. Just turned off. I don't know why. I haven't got a clue. No idea. And then I think, oh god, and I'm just suddenly, I think I put it in Slack, like, please, I've saved, please. Hadn't. It had saved up to the Zora Magdaros at the end of that.
Yeah. So you had to do the whole Pookie again.
Yep. It hadn't even saved, and this to me is a fault. I'm not saying I want my handheld, and I've played the Yakuza games where you have to manually save, like Alien Isolation, you have to manually save, but I had changed my Palico gear, I'd crafted a load of stuff, I'd changed my weapon, and none of that had saved it. That has to be an autosave thing. If you change gear, that you craft gear, it's in your inventory, that has to be...
I thought it did.
I thought so too, but apparently not. Because that was the other thing. I'd upgraded... The way the weapon system works, I'd upgraded to a new version of my gun, but I hadn't really properly researched what I was doing. I just saw the damage numbers. I was like, oh yeah, more damage. What I didn't realise is that all the stuff that had maybe do damage, like the slicing ammo, the sticky ammo that I've been using to such high effect with high damage,
doesn't work on that particular upgrade.
Exactly that. So I'm in this battle, and I'm with the Puki, like with nothing. So it was a real battle of attrition. I had the base weak ammo that was shit. It was a real long scuffle.
But you can't carry that many of that ammo anyway, can you? Which I find's really annoying.
Yeah, like the sticky ammo. Mick, who's a bit further in, has told me there's a charm that lets you do that.
Right.
I think you can carry a bit more.
Because I sometimes use the bow. I haven't used the gun, but I sometimes use the bow. And it's really frustrating because I think you can only take in 15 arrows of each coating.
Yeah, it's the same, I think, because the slicing ammo is
before I know
9
I've
plus
used
3
all.
Loaded. Yeah, no, the first skirmish, like the first time you fight an enemy, you'll lose all this. Yeah, but that was then confounded the same day. But I went into, we got a little. Nicola's not in it because she's on Xbox. Otherwise, she'd be in as well. We got a little group, like a WhatsApp group for the people who play on PS4. And I was like, can someone please I just have to just get back to where I was. Please, just some. So I jumped on. Chris jumped on. Yeah, I'm free. Great, jump on. Unfortunately, was it Chris? I think it was Chris. I don't know.
Yeah, it was.
It doesn't matter. And he hadn't done that mission, so he couldn't join me. So I had to then go backwards to do the mission he was on, and then by that time I had to cook dinner, and I didn't have time to do my mission because woe betide, I just watch a cutscene with him. So
I know, you can't do that, Adam. My God, that's craziness. Madness.
But this happened, I think earlier in the week, the same thing happened where Adam was helping me, and I think Mick as well.
Yeah. And you would watch a cutscene.
And it was the long ones, because it was before the Zora Magdaros. It was the Diablos and Rathalos stuff, and those are quite long missions before you can join them. And what I realised being on the other end of that, where I was helping Chris, is that you are just sat in Astera kind of going, I've done nothing. I can't do anything. I can't start a mission.
In those moments.
But you can't even go and do an expedition because you won't have that much time. You are just sat there going, well, this cooperative game that I really, really enjoy playing cooperatively, I just, literally, it won't pick up, but I'm literally there going, I can't, have a little, should I go make a cup of tea? I just, I can't play the game because, again, fucking God forbid.
I generally, in those moments, like I say, either pet Poogie and get him to find me something, or I go off and I try out a new weapon and then have a look at the upgrade trees, and I sit there rubbing my metaphorical beard while I'm trying to decide which tree I want to upgrade next. But yeah, it's ridiculous, isn't it? That you can't just launch into the same mission. Oh, well, there's a cutscene, you have to watch that first on your own. Ugh.
I just don't know that a game I've enjoyed this much has ever pissed me off as much.
And that's what I was just about to say. It's kind of like I'm in the 40-hour mark now. I think just over.
I'm 33,
Jesus
34.
Christ, I'm at 75. I cannot stop playing this game.
Hell.
I can't stop playing.
But see, that's
no, I'm the same.
But that's what I mean. That's why I'm thinking this brief conversation, if we can make it brief, which is nearly impossible to talk about Monster Hunter in a brief way, but I feel it's important now.
Wow.
I feel it's important now because after this length of time, I still every single goddamn day think about this game. Right, when I'm out of the house, I'm thinking about it. I'm looking at stuff online. It has me. I am so hooked, and I love it. But I really do get so pissed off with the certain elements. Now that is one of them that Adam was saying. I do think it's utter bullshit that I can't just jump in when he's doing a cutscene or something like that. It's kind of look, if you let us have that option, it would make some difference.
It's not.
Why not allow you to load into the expedition? And then just wait there.
It's not even that. You also have to be in the same online session as your pal.
Yeah. You see, and it's definitely the first game where the online aspects have required almost getting a tutorial to understand. Because you were just saying there, Adam, you lost all your progress, whatever, when the PS4 shut down and stuff, and the auto-save mechanic, right?
That's not the game's fault, really.
It's not the game's fault.
It still should have auto-saved. I'd finished the mission,
Yeah, but you're dead right in saying when you upgrade your gear and stuff, look, just even if it just auto-saves that's important, because I learned that early on in the game when I joined your session and I went in and I was just after spending 15-20 minutes putting on new gear, and I went, oh cool, yeah, bang, and then I went back into your set and I was like,
it didn't save it.
See, that is fucking ridiculous, because if you go into a loading screen, it should definitely auto-save what you've just done.
I've done that before. I'm in a separate session and my pal's come online or whatever, and he's invited me to his session, and I've just gone, oh, okay, accepted the invite, and I've lost all of my progress in the session that I was in.
That is ridiculous.
It's just a weird thing. Now, another thing, and we definitely both discussed this, Adam, and this is no fault of the game either. It's kind of our own choice, but it's a bit weird that after 40 plus hours, I've played around with certain weapons, but the weapon I'm using is the bone blade, okay?
Yep.
And I personally have felt I've never needed to change my weapon because I do just completely fine with it. And now, as I said, that's nothing to do with the game, but I don't really feel like I need to experiment. And I've just got into the high rank stuff now, and now I feel the game is really about to get going in terms of now it's going to not let me, but make me change my gear to something really cool. Because the armor has just stayed the same and everything, and I'm kind of
I'm the same. I finally seen.
Definitely going to have to experiment.
I believe that, and I have found the armor set I want now. I finally, because I've killed enough new monsters, I'm like, that's the one I want. There's two I'm torn between them, but I want to go back to what Nicholas said because it ties in about the weapons, how you can only carry 15 ammo or whatever. Now, that is egregious to me for so many reasons, but the biggest one is you can only carry 15 of that ammo, right? And the idea, I presume, is because it's the powerful ammo, and they don't want to make the game too easy. But I can just go back to the camp and load up again. So why the fuck do you put in the extra step of making me go back? Or if I faint, I can load up again anyway. Like, it is so arbitrary to say, you can only carry 15. Because you can't. You just mean we can only carry 15 right now.
I guess because then it kind of makes it like a real battle, doesn't it? Like, I'm going to have to stop fighting this creature while I just trek back to a base.
Because that's only if it's in solo. If there's four of us and I faint or I run out of ammo, I can be just like, I'm just going to nip round the corner, lads, go to the corner shop, get a couple more slicer ammos. You keep him busy, and arguably they will, and
it's daft
it just
as
seems
well.
So arbitrary.
I think with the bow, like I say, I use the bow occasionally. I like the idea that you can take in different ammo and it does different things.
Same.
And of course, depending on the tree that you've gone down, it'll do different, like maybe sleep and paralysis and poison. But then if you move it slightly further down, you'll then only have blast and you lose poison and what have you. So it makes that's kind of cool. But there again, like if you use the other weapons, like for example, I really have experimented. I've got like a water katana. I have a poison katana. I've got a poison axe that I've taken right the way up.
Do they work?
The axe
because as a gun user, I have like poison and paralyze and all this. They never seem to do anything. If you fight
a creature that is weak to poison, like the Baroth, oh my god, he's in all sorts of pain.
Because that's another thing. Like I've also got tranquilizer ammo. Okay, do I still have to put the trap down? Because I caught a monster. I put the trap down, and I thought it had sprung it, and I fired it 2 trank ammos, and it put it to sleep, and that was it captured. But it looked like the trap hadn't activated, so I was like, do I And again, I'm 35 hours in, and I'm still not 100% sure what that ammo does.
I don't.
Do you know what I mean? Like, do I need to put a trap down and then trank ammo it still? I assume I do.
Because you can only trap a monster when it's at a certain stage in the fight, isn't it? When it's got the skull above its head. Oh god!
So speaking of Nicola, I do apologise, but if I forget this, I will hate myself forever. Playing with Mick Fraser, he only goes and drops the nugget of all fucking nuggets on us.
What?
So we were just chatting away, like we are now, moaning about the game a bit while still loving the shit out of it. And I'm saying, well, I keep finding myself torn on whether I want them to have health bars or not. Just go full Dark Souls and let me see how much I've got to take off this bloody thing. And he goes, well, there kind of is. And I went, well, what do you mean there kind of is? And he goes, well, there's the health meter down in the corner. I went,
what?
No, there isn't, Nick. And he goes, no, there is. If you look at the radar...
Oh, when it has the different thingies over its head.
Right, but no. So next to the radar, there's a little square, and that's showing the monsters in the area, and if you're fighting it, underneath it, you have a little, like when you're in hospital...
Like a heart rate monitor.
I have seen that.
That's what it is. And that changes from blue to orange. And when it's about to flatline, it literally is nearly flatlining. So hang on, we can trap it now. And I went, nah. And he goes, no, it is. Look, it's about to flatline. It's flatlining. So we put a trap down, trapped the fucking thing. And we all went, what? And then we went and did another mission because I needed some parts. So we just went and quickly did, it was an old monster, but I just needed some parts to complete a bounty or something. And again, then someone else did it, just looked at it. It's flatlining. Track it down.
Oh, my God.
Yep, works. And it's like, so you're telling me for 35 hours there's been a health bar the whole time,
Adam,
and at no point do they bother mentioning it?
75 hours, and I'm now
and at no
sat
point did they
here
bother
with
telling
my
you.
head in my hands going, you are kidding me.
I mean, it's not a health bar, but Kind of
it's
is.
It's an indicator, isn't it? It's a visual indicator of where the monster is. Oh. That is outrageous. Although I will say, but 75 hours in, I'm still getting tutorials for new shit.
Yeah, no, fair. But the fact that, like, someone who I think it was a listener, Chris, that put it on there, not Chris White, listener Chris, and he put it on Twitter, and Wesley Copeland, friend of the site, went, what? Just like you've done. It's like, yeah, very funny. Mad. Yeah, all right. Yeah, okay. Wait, what?
Yeah.
That is absurd, and I'm sure Monster Hunter fans are literally laughing, going, you wankers, how did you not know that? But, like, we didn't know it. No one seems to know it.
One thing I would really love to see change is when the other night myself, Mick and Adam were fighting the Diablos, right? Who just hates Adam Cook. Just hates him. Like,
I need to find out, actually, if there's a massive Monster Hunter fan, does Diablos get super aggroed by gun users? Because I thought it was in my head until Mick fought with him as well, and he's like, he will not leave. I wasn't even shooting him. I was.
It's funny.
He fucking hated you.
Adam, because I play with Munch, and he uses a gun, and I swear to God, he gets harassed so much.
But this Diablos was on another level.
Adam would die, he would come back, and as soon as Adam would say, right, I'm here, he'd drop and he'd go, I'm dead.
Yep.
Instantly, within 2 seconds, the Diablos is there and turns and goes, that fuck is back, and runs over and just annihilates him. It's the weirdest thing. But my issue was that, we were having fierce trouble with this guy, right? It's probably one of the hardest monsters I fought, I personally think anyway.
It's the point where because I don't think I'd even failed a mission until that.
The Diablos is the one that burrows underground and pops up at you, doesn't it?
Yeah. That's what used to get. Yeah, I feel like that's the moment the game changes. Actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is pretty hardcore, but we all went in knowing that this dude is really hard, and I think we all died. I'd say about 3 times, and I think it was maybe the 4th time we went, let's give it one more bash. But those 3 other occasions, right, when you die, we died at one point within 3 minutes.
That was funny in a way.
3, I was like, that's definitely the quickest anyway we've all died. Yeah. It was around 3 minutes, okay? But it fucks me right off when it just goes, quest failed, back to the thing, Adam has to set the quest, we have to accept it, off we go again. Just give me the option of saying, do you want to repeat... Do you want to repeat this quest?
Yeah, like in a fighting game. Yeah, rematch, essentially. And then everyone else has to select rematch and you go into it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so frustrating because when you kind of... You know that feeling of when... If you die after 3 minutes, you're like, just let me back in. And it's just like...
We probably watched more loading screens than we did play for those 3 minutes.
Yeah, pretty much.
You haven't freaking come across the Kirin, though, have you? Oof.
No.
Twat. I can't even talk about it. It's just doing my nothing.
Really?
It's the thing that's the thing that's really winding me up about him is this quest that I've got. It's an optional quest and it's a 5-star quest. Well, I'm in high rank quests now. I'm thinking 5-star quest, whatever. Do them in my sleep now. I'm like double hard. This Kirin, my God. And one of the reasons why I'm really frustrated with it is because nobody seems to join my SOS call for it, which makes me think, think that this is a proper twat. Nobody wants to fight this thing.
When
there's
you get
nothing
an SOS, does it?
Sorry, Gary, go on.
I say when you get an SOS, does it tell you what?
Yeah.
What it's like, what you're fighting?
No. As an SOS person going into a game, so what that's really used for is farming. So if you do the Zora Magdaros missions, you will always bang like that have 3 people join you because it's the only place you can farm Zora Magdaros parts. So what you do when you go into the menu to rather than post a quest to join a quest, you go to SOS flares and you can sort by the monster for the mission. Mm-hmm. So there are some that will always get picked up so quickly because people are farming those monsters. Like Diablos is probably one of them. But given that the one you're talking about is an Elder Dragon, I'm surprised.
And he only appears rarely. Like this, for example, this quest that I've got, I had to go through quite a few steps to get to it. Now, I did that completely by accident, and I've got to this point. It's also an event currently on Xbox. I don't know if it is on PS4, but it's an event, a special event that's only going to be... In fact, I think it finishes today, and you hunt 2 of them. Well, my God. I hate it. It's an amazing monster because towards the end you're just fighting what looks like huge dragons all the time, aren't you? And there's not much variety in terms of the monster that you fight. This is like an electrified unicorn, and it's gorgeous. It's a really lovely monster, but it's, oh my God, it's a twat. It's an absolute twat. The time that I nearly completed it, myself and Munch were doing it. I fired my SOS. I had 2 people come and join. We'd had 2 faints already because this thing just went insane, and it literally is an insta-kill. So we've got two faints. 3. There's all 4 of us fighting this thing. We're grinding it down. We're getting to the point where we can kill it. I have a network error.
Oh my God!
I have a network error, which means that I'm now trying to kill this thing on my own, and the other 3 have now gone off into a different session. So I get killed right at the end. Literally, this monster is nearly dead, and it goes batshit insane when you get to the point where the monster's nearly dying. It just goes insane, regardless of the monster that you fight. And I got killed, and that was it. That was my 3 faints, and I failed it. Well, I messaged Munch, and he was like, "What happened to you? By the way, we managed to finish it." And I'm just like, "You're fucking joking me." So Munch and these other 2 went off into the other session, and they finished they finished it, and I'm like, no. And I haven't been able to do it since. I've been trying to kill this since Tuesday. Do you want to do that again? No. Trying to kill it since Tuesday, and I keep going, and I've done a few of the other story missions, and I've gone into a few SOSs, and then I go, right, I'm going to try it again. And I have tried an ice weapon, I've tried a poison weapon, I've tried my arrows, I've tried a water weapon, I've tried pretty much. The only thing I haven't got is dragon or fire, and I've tried everything, and I just cannot kill this fucking thing, and it's driving me insane. Insane.
Oof. That's something to look forward to for Adam and I.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the thing is, there better be some good armour out of this.
Well, see, that's what I'm wondering, Nick. I'm wondering if the reason you're not getting anyone in is because it doesn't yield much and there's no one farming it because it's not, you know what I mean?
I think it's rare. Like you say, it's an elder dragon, so it's a rare
Yeah, but surely that means all the more reason for people to be selecting that from SOS flares.
But what's funny as well, though, Adam, you could be right in saying that, but at the same time, right, that is what this game does incredibly well, is that thing for you, Nicola, is an absolute nightmare, but you're just not going to give up until you beat it. It kind of gets to a stage where the gear aspect is all right, fuck that, I just need to kill this thing.
That's how it was for Diablos and me. I really felt like if we hadn't taken it down that time you guys did it with me, I don't know if I'd have picked up this game ever again. Because it was almost I have to do that. He has to die. He has to go down. I don't care how many times.
Completely,
you know what I mean?
Because when you kept dying, it got to a stage where
there's no need to make out I'm shit, mate. I get it.
Adam, when you were playing really shit.
I was, mate, actually. Yeah. I couldn't dodge the thing. And my timing was so off. I couldn't knock it out of its way.
You can change the comments that come up at certain events.
Don't tell them that.
Right.
Oh,
right.
brilliant.
So I've changed a couple of mine. If I manage to land on the monster, mine goes yeah, boy, I'm riding a monster. If somebody else manages to go on it, my automated response is something like yee-haw, ride 'em, cowboy. But I was making a joke with Munch the other day because he's using a gun, I think most of the monsters just seem really aggro against gun users, and particularly the Anjanath goes for Munch like nobody's business. It's like a laser. And he faints a lot. I was joking with him saying I'm going to change my automated message to, when he dies, to just go, fuck's sake, Munch. And I was going, but that'd be a bit odd when I'm playing with other people, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would. See, I don't think I faint much usually, but this Diablos, oh my god.
Yeah, and it was unfair because the first few times you were just whatever, you were going mad about it, but then it just got to a stage that when you did faint, you just didn't say a thing. You were just
no. In the end, it was I'm just going to hide and let them kill it because I don't care anymore. It doesn't have to fall by my hand. I just don't care. It has to. I don't care. It has to die. I don't have to be involved in it as long as it counts towards my mission structures. Whatever. It's gone. It's done. That's all I care about now.
Do you know what gets an absolute solid 10 out of 10 for me is the character's running animation.
Yeah.
I think whenever I see someone in the distance running from a ginormous monster,
I know what you're going to say.
It's one of the funniest things to look at because they're so helpless and they're just like, holy shit,
I need to get out of here. High knees, back like
high knees.
I'm laughing my head off at the moment because what the missions I'm doing at the moment, that basil juice, whatever it's called, keeps dropping in from now, and it's a proper like holy fucking shit moment when this thing drops in, and I'm just absolutely howling at like watching. I mean, I'm doing it as well, but like we're fighting this creature, and then the basil juice like drops down, and then there's all four of us scattering off to the four corners of the map, like doing this kind of hightail run, going shit.
I'm just shocked that no one has done that yet and dubbed the Benny Hill music over the top. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it stuns me that I've seen more of that.
It's just the night that me, Mick and Adam were playing, and Adam returns back, and he's just like, okay, I'm here. He dropped down. I wish we recorded it, but he dropped down. And then he just went, oh shit, he's seen me straight away. No, I'm out of here. And I looked over and see Adam just bombing it.
Yep. I did a lot of running that night.
It's a quality game. I'm totally hooked on it.
It is. It's going to be genuine interesting come December time, because
absolutely
this kind of game doesn't capture, like I said, the last time I remember being captured like this was Overwatch in that respect, and we did give that game of the year, but I feel like Overwatch had a lot less problems. Like, there's something in me that already now it's going to be like, listen, I don't know what other people are thinking, but I'm going to be the one sitting there going, this cannot be game of the year. It cannot. It has too many glaring omissions that make me actually angry, because if they had got them right, it would be a home run. I don't know.
Like that, like even including Overwatch and stuff, I have to say, I'm more addicted to this, and I haven't been addicted to a game like this since Diablo 3. So,
Christ,
I don't know. The problems lie there, but I do believe that we're at a point where it can be fixed, and I think it will
convinced,
be.
Mate. I'm not convinced.
I don't know how they can. I think they'd have to rewrite their whole code.
I do. I agree, especially with the online stuff. I don't think that's fixable. Well, it's fixable, but it's not easy.
I don't know, guys. I think there's definitely. You'll be surprised.
They can. I'm not saying they can't. I'm just saying I don't think they will. Because why will they? They've sold. It's the hottest selling game they've ever had. I think, like the quickest, the fastest selling game Capcom have ever had. And I just think, why are they going to bother? They're not going to bother. They're not.
Yeah.
Well, I hate to end it on a negative, but we should move into some news, because I still think Monster Hunter is going to be a continued source of discussion on this podcast.
Are you still alive, Gary?
Yeah.
I'm just waking up.
Yeah, sorry for that.
Oh, sorry for that. Bloody hell. The first news story, though, is aimed squarely at Gary, because he's a big fan of the. Well, so am I. Big fan of the Evil Within, and the Evil Within 2. I think this is really cool. The Evil Within 2 has been updated. It's already been updated. By the time you hear this, it'll be almost a week ago, with a first-person mode. Like, they've legitimately taken the game completely first-personed it. Like,
yeah,
because I mean, they apparently this is something that modders had put into the PC version, and they were like, okay, yeah, this is a good.
It's a free update as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it's totally free.
Yeah, and they've put it into the console versions and everything, and it kind of makes sense, because I mean, there is a point in the game where it goes into first person.
Oh yeah, you're right.
I mean, you're not allowed, you can't shoot or anything like that, but it really emphasises the scares.
Right,
but
that could work, especially with that fucking singing woman. That in first person. Fuck off.
Yeah, but that's
the most northern thing ever said on this podcast. Fuck
off. That's one thing I'd say, though. Like, after I finished Evil Within 2, I didn't think it was as scary as the first one, and I think that was the general consensus amongst a lot of the players.
I was the opposite. I thought the second one. I thought it was better in every way.
Well, the open world aspect of it, well, if we're going to call it that, it's not really massively open world, but like that town area outside, I think not all fear, but it does diminish quite a bit.
It felt a lot like The Last of Us. I'd not played enough, but that when I got outside, that bit, my God, did it feel like The Last of Us.
Yeah, completely. And even when I saw gameplay before, I was always saying that. I was like, "Jesus, it looks real." Like hiding behind the cars and distracting people.
Yeah, like throwing bottles almost, you know.
Yeah.
Sorry.
However, I did always say that after playing it, that wasn't scary to me, because I actually found The Last of Us scarier in terms of if you're going to compare both open world aspects. But in first person, I think it would be terrifying. And for me, what does that say about horror games? And like, I think the view is so... It all comes down to the view, I think. Like, if any game that is first person in horror, that's as scary as it can get. I think next level is VR. But then outside of VR, first person is the scariest way you can get. Now I know people can say, no, I disagree because Silent Hill and whatever. Like, yeah, but right now, I think, over the last few years, I think that, like, first person is definitely the scariest kind of aspect of a game. I definitely play it again.
Do you know, it's made me want to... Do you know what it's done? It's made me... Because it's a game that I think I said on the podcast I wish I played more of, and one day I'd like to play more. This kind of update... You haven't
finished it, yeah, have you?
I've played about 2 hours of it. Like, I think I'm on the second chapter or whatever. Like, but this kind of update makes me think... it kind of makes it feel new again. Like, I'm probably still not going to have time to, but it's made me think about it again, I suppose.
Oh man, it's so worth playing because
I've enjoyed what I played of it. I don't know. I ran out of time. I really wanted to play Assassin's Creed Origins as well, and yeah, just like Nicholas said, the pile of shame, man.
Yeah, I'm just
at least Evil Within 2 is a smaller undertaking than Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, but right now, even 13 hours feels like a big undertaking. You know, I'm staring down the barrel of Yakuza 6, which is a great problem to have. Like, but like, I haven't played that since the last podcast. I really want to just go, everyone and everything, piss off. I'm playing Yakuza. Do you know what I mean? And just doesn't.
And then Monster Hunter comes along.
That's not real world. That's not the real world.
No, it's not. But if I'm honest, I don't want to live in the fucking real world.
Well, mate, you've given me the most beautiful segue, because I was sitting here desperately thinking, how the fuck do we get from this really, really serious talk to Sea of Thieves having Krakens?
Adam,
and we've done it now.
Adam,
yes.
I'm back on the Sea of Thieves hype train.
God, Nicholas, so am I.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I thought I was... Yeah,
this
like
makes
massively.
me really happy.
I was like, I don't care. And then Rare invited. Again, I am slightly bitter about this because I really would love to go and visit Rare Studios. For they've done this a few times, but we never get invited to them. They invited me up to Rare Studios, and they spent like the day or a couple of days there. And all the previews that come out did so much more for the game than actually letting people play it, because the previews are the stuff you didn't get to play. And oh my god, it sounds amazing now. And so it's basically there was rumours that there was a Kraken in the game, and they've not... Rare haven't spoken, but images have actually leaked, and
somebody's data mined it, haven't they?
Yeah.
You kind of have to, surely, though. If you're going to have like a pirates, like a high seas kind of thing, you've got to have a fucking Kraken.
Yes and no, because because thematically you do, but also from a gameplay perspective, I wasn't sure how it would work. But like, there's images now, and Eurogamer's hang on, sorry, who is it? Wesley Ian Paul, I think he's a news editor. He can say, he's basically saying they're legit. Can't wait. That's all I just wanted to bring it up, because I wanted to bring this up. But yeah, that's why I wanted to bring this up, because like you, I was sort of quietly like, I'm kind of really excited again. You know.
When is this game released?
March. Next month.
As you said, March, yeah.
Okay.
Next month.
And if you're a Game Pass user, you get it for free as part of the subscription, which is great news. It makes it, although it has slightly worried me, maybe they won't send out review code because they'll say, you've got Game Pass. I really hope Microsoft do right by this game.
I do as well,
because I think it has the potential to be a bit like Monster Hunter.
They need to, because I mean, like, Microsoft's first party stuff's been a bit.
If given the amount of employees at Rare and Rare's history, if Microsoft don't push this like it's the second coming, then they fucked up.
Yeah, they need to. I mean, it's a new IP for a start.
Yeah, true.
And it's something. I mean, yeah, okay, the multiplayer stuff's been done, but not like this. It's an interesting new take on it, and again, Kraken. Yeah, you've got Kraken in it. Fuck it.
I mean, they've just given us the strapline, haven't we? It'll be Kraken.
The thing is like, I've played. I spent a few days with the beta a few weeks back, and I played it, and I still didn't really get it. I still don't really get it, but I did feel something playing it. There was something very lovely about playing it that I can't quite put my finger on. And I think I said that in my preview. There's something about it, I'm just not quite sure what it is. But I had a great time with it. Just pottering.
Am I right in thinking it's crossplay?
Yeah. Yo. Yeah, it is.
Sorry, I thought you just turned into a pirate. But it just means like if I end up going, I could try that out on my PC.
The beta. The beta's definitely cross-buy. Like if you can play the beta on both PS4, you can't play on PS4.
I don't know if it can you play?
Yeah, I think so.
The Xbox One play with PC players. I'm
sure you can. That would be mad if not, given that it's a let's move on to another game. Just a brief one. I thought it was interesting. This is coming from IGN. Assassin's Creed, Ubisoft on their earnings call have said that they won't be a new Assassin's Creed. Well, they are concentrating at the moment on Origins rather than a new entry into the once annual franchise.
Good.
They say, we are concentrating at the moment on ACO, for which we are going to launch a few other DLCs. You'll be amazed at what's to come. That's the only thing we can say for now. I just thought this was interesting because that does seem like they're going bi-yearly then.
Yeah, well, they could do... They're doing the whole service-based thing with Rainbow Six.
They're doing it with everything.
And, so they can do it with this.
Yeah.
It just means... it won't be the same, it won't be 3 or 4 years like Rainbow Six, but they could do, a year of content, basically, and, 2 years of content, technically, and then release a new game afterwards. And do the same with that.
I mean, it's cool. It's cool that we know they're not gonna be rushing out Assassin's Creed every year.
We don't need another Creed game this year.
Not when it's this bloody big.
Yeah, exactly.
Matron.
THQ Nordic. Anyone remember THQ?
Yeah.
So a company called Nordic Games, rebranded as THQ Nordic. That company, the Nordic Games, I remember them from when I first started at God is a Geek. There were a lot of games like the karaoke games they were making and stuff for Wii and that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think they did. Was it Cultures?
Might have done, yeah.
I think those
they've been around a long time, but they rebranded as THQ Nordic, and now they've bought Koch Media or Coke. I don't know how you say that.
Surely it's Koch.
Well,
I think it's Koch.
I think it's Koch because it's German. Yeah,
maybe you're right.
It's Koch Media.
I can't say that.
I mean, Koch Media is.
Good Lord.
Yeah, I'm sure it's Koch Media who
they've gone out and bought Koch.
Yeah, they bought some Koch. They bought some Koch and some Deep Silver because Deep Silver are under Koch. Deep Silver's under Koch, or is Koch on top of Deep Silver? It doesn't really matter, but one way or another, THQ Nordic or Nordic Games that are now THQ, and I bet you eventually they just change it back to THQ. I don't know. It's mad.
It's gone full circle, hasn't it?
Well, it's insane. How have they got the money to buy them?
Because it's I think Nordic already had quite a lot of money.
Oh no!
So, so I think that's it. They already had quite a lot of money, and so they bought a lot of the THQ stuff because they did Darksiders, didn't they?
Yes.
And so I think sort of from that, they're like, we bought this, fuck it, let's go and buy the rest of the THQ stuff, which is all under Deep Silver.
But Deep Silver's also got something with Atlas. Because, they're in the UK, Deep Silver...
Oh, they do, yeah, because, Persona...
That's right, but, I don't know, this is really weird, I don't know what this means.
I think it's more of a distribution thing, though, isn't it, than actual, a straight-up publishing.
Did Sega buy Atlas, or did Atlas buy Sega? I can't remember. Sega bought Atlas.
Yeah, I think so.
Or something. It's very confusing and very weird.
But it is like I say, it's gone full circle, because all the THQ stuff went here, there, and everywhere. Then Deep Silver got a big chunk of it.
Am I right in thinking Saints Row
got a chunk of it, and then it's all...
Right, okay.
Yeah, Saints Row go back now.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's going back to THQ where it was in the first place.
Oh, yeah. Well,
if you... and all that lot, so...
If you consider this THQ... Nordic the same as THQ, it's not.
You know what I mean. It's the whole thing. It's all going back under the THQ umbrella where it started.
You've got Metro. The Metro series is under Deep Silver. Okay, Metro First Light and the new Metro. You've got Dead Island. You have got Saints Row, the Homefront series, Atlas, obviously Shin Megami Tensei. You have got Shenmue, I believe, because of something. I mean, I'm looking on Wikipedia now, obviously, and Kingdom Come Deliverance comes under Deep Silver as well. So, THQ Nordic have just gone out and said, right, we're going to be a big player. We're buying them. Speaking of big players, the last news story this week, which we won't take too long on, it's a rumour at the moment, but given the success of Crash Bandicoot's remaster, this would not shock me. Activision is apparently, according to VG247, this is where we saw the story, looking into a Spyro the Dragon trilogy remaster coming to PS4 this year.
That's kind of makes sense, because if you think, like, Skylanders started with Spyro, Skylanders is now kind of sidelined.
But it's the developer that was involved in Skylanders that did Crash Bandicoot, so...
Right, so it's like, why not?
I think this makes sense.
I think it's the sort of thing that I think will sell. And it also goes, hey, maybe we'll make a new Spyro if this does well.
I wonder, will it sell, though?
I was going to say, if they think it will sell as well as Crash, I don't think it will.
Yeah.
But it won't sell that that well. But if they market it right, especially towards like some of the Skylanders fans,
I don't know, I'm not...
You could get something out of it.
Maybe.
Who doesn't like Spyro?
Well, it's not that nobody dislikes it. It's just, I don't know if it has a massive
It's not got the
following.
cachet, has it?
Yeah, like...
It's not as got as big a following as Crash.
I can remember my times with the Spyro games, but I personally couldn't really mention, Spyro 2 is the one. Like, I couldn't really say that. I think it was all just, bit of and everything. Really, really fun and quirky, I suppose. But it's unusual because I always think a game like this, if it just came out now as Spyro the Dragon, like, I don't think anyone would give a shit.
Yep.
Like, I just don't think like a game with a dragon running around the place platforming is going to really drive people insane. Like,
get me going.
But I'll definitely give it a go. I hope it's not as hard, but as Crash was. But I don't know. I really do hope that they don't come out with this and try and make it sell off of the back of the recent Crash trilogy, like saying things like, "We did this, so buy this," because it's like kind of the same.
I mean, we should say at this point, people are listening to it, it might have already been confirmed or debunked. So, Listener correspondence this week. We've got 2 questions we're going to get addressed. Darren at ROTMM. Right. I think the best way to do this is to just get everyone to shout numbers out. So there's a picture, which you don't need to see it, I'll read it out, but it says, this is the title card shown at the end of Sony's E3 2016 press conference. One game of there has been released, one's dated, okay? He has 3 questions regarding these games. So just to quickly list the games. God of War, which we obviously know is coming on the 20th of the 4th. Days Gone, which we don't know a date for yet. Detroit Become Human. Death Stranding. And Spider-Man, and Horizon Zero Dawn he's crossed out because we know that game's out. So, God of War, Days Gone, Detroit, Death Stranding, Spider-Man. If we just go around the room here, how many of these games will be shown at this year E3 2018 on stage? Adam?
I'm going to say Death Stranding.
Yep. 1.
And Days Gone.
2. Okay, that your final answer? It's not a quiz. Don't know why I'm asking it like that. Gary, how many do you think will be on stage at this year's E3?
4 of them.
Would you like to say which ones?
Days Gone, I think will end up being like end of the year, so they'll show it. Detroit, similar. Death Stranding isn't out this year at all. I'm putting all my chips on that right now. But I'll say they'll show it still.
Okay.
Spider-Man, I think will be out end of the summer kind of time, maybe.
Agree.
So I think again they'll still show it. I don't think they'll all be like big showings again, but they'll definitely be there.
Nicola, how many do you think will be on the stage E3 this year?
Defo, Days Gone, and Death Stranding. The one that I don't think might be shown is Spider-Man. So 3, I'm going to say 3, because I think Days Gone, Death Stranding are absolute certainty that they'll be shown, because they ain't coming out anytime soon. Detroit, I'm not sure about Detroit. I think it will be shown, but I think it's going to be out this year.
Okay, I mean, we are sort of answering his second part of the question, which is how many will release this year. But for me, I'm going to say that all of these will be on the stage again. Days Gone, definitely. God of War, maybe in so much as they're out showing DLC or talking about how great it's done. Detroit Become Human just will definitely be on there. Death Stranding has to be on there.
They've got to wheel Kojima out,
Kojima
haven't they? They've got to wheel him out.
That's right.
Oh,
in terms of how many were released this year, well, we know God of War's coming this year. Detroit will be this year, I think. Spider-Man will be this year. Death Stranding, there's absolutely no chance on this earth it hits this year. The one I think, for me, is up in the air is Days Gone. I feel like it should be out this year, but I feel it might slip, and I would guess at early next year. The last bit of it, he says, are any of them going to be PS5 exclusives? As some are expecting that in 2019. I'm going to go ahead and say I don't think the PS5 is coming out in 2019.
Either way.
No, I'm with you on that. I don't think that's going to be for 2 or 3 years. Yeah.
However, I will go ahead and say that I think Death Stranding will be released on the PS5.
That game looks like it's years off, doesn't it?
Yeah, it looks like it's 2019 at earliest.
Yeah, we've not even seen actual gameplay yet, have we?
Yeah,
it's all just been in-engine and that kind of thing.
Just trailers of your man, Mads Mikkelsen. Oh. There you go.
Yeah, I don't know. I just look. It's going to come out on PS4, but we're definitely not seeing that for Jesus, another 2 years.
It'll be like The Last of Us. Like they'll release it right towards the end of the PS4 that life, and then it'll also come out like a year later, remastered on PS5.
Yeah.
Dear.
Chris Hyde also says, in regards to E3, like our thoughts on how you feel about E3 this year versus previous years. It seems to be less about the big spectacle or grand reveal these days. Is this a good or a bad thing? I mean, I don't know whether it's a good or bad thing. I think E3 is getting weirder and weirder because every publisher now has their own little conference. It used to be the big three. Now you've got Bethesda doing their own thing, EA doing their own thing. Like before the event, I think E3 is becoming weird again. And I don't enjoy it the way I used to. I still like watching Nintendo, Microsoft, and Sony. And after that, so for me, it's a lot of work. Like organising stuff over there is like Excel spreadsheets out the ass. And to be honest, this year I'm looking at it going, I don't know if it's worth even attending for us, because a lot of these publishers now do events before, like the embargo lifts during the conference, so that your coverage, you played it before E3 and it's to hit for then. Like, so much of these events are becoming eyes on instead of hands on, and I personally have no interest in publishing stuff that we didn't get to play. Like, I don't see the point in basically talking you through what will eventually become a trailer. I would have thought a lot of the time it's like, we'll show you this behind closed doors, you can see what the game looks like, and then they put the 30 minutes of gameplay up that you saw, and it's like, well, that's a waste of time.
Yeah, I mean, why travel the other side of the fucking world just to watch a trailer? Get someone just to go, hey, this is what happens when you play this game. It's tough shit. You can't play it and see for yourself, but watch us play.
I have some ideas about how we could cover E3 that I think would be more fun for all of us and for the people who care about God is a Geek. Being honest, E3 is one of those things where you kind of have to do it because it's a traffic management thing. You want to maximise traffic, but I'm starting to see it's a pain in the arse for the person who's got to go over there. It's stressful, and I don't know. It's weird. I still love E3 because it's a celebration of the thing I love, which is games. But I don't know. It's becoming weird because it's more of a public thing now, and it's a long way for us to go. Gamescom always makes more sense, and I don't know.
It is more about the spectacle, isn't it? It's just like, look at what big shit we can show during the big three conferences.
Yeah, but now, like I say, with Bethesda saying we're doing it before E3, and EA we're doing it before E3, it's like, well, what is this anymore?
Don't Devolver.
Yeah, it's all in the pre.
They do.
Don't Devolver do a mini one in a shed?
Well, they're off-site. Yeah, they're kind of off-site. It's part of E3, but they're off-site a bit. I know, Adam.
But I think a lot of developers like Devolver and stuff. I think it's a smart choice for them to kind of step aside from this, because they probably put up too much of a battle trying to get the spotlight, and then they don't really get a whole pile of attention because it's always such big people that they're just like, well, fuck it, there's no point, we're wasting our time. Let's just do it this way.
I also feel really weird because I always get this way this time of year because I have to. It's a very industry thing that I sit there and start. When you start thinking about E3 and I think about the spreadsheets, and I just sit there and think, I fucking don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. I hate this. I hate it. It's the thing of, all right, we've booked in the big things that we really want to see, and then an email comes through, we'd love you to come and see this, behind closed doors thing that no one else is going to get to see, and you're like, oh, cool, and yeah, we definitely want to cover that, and then it's like, but we've only got these slots, and they conflict, and you're like, I don't want to do this anymore. It's just so... There are websites out there that I think do E3 incredibly right, and if you know me at all, you'll know probably the website I'm talking about, and I kind of want to do it more like that, because I just...
Well, yeah, there is. Like, I have to say, I do love E3 every single year. I love tuning in for it. I'm always watching it live, and I'm very excited. But there is a lot of fluff. There is a lot of nonsense, and you have to go through it. And I think, especially for people like us, you kind of have to cut the shit. You kind of have to just go, I'm sorry, just no, I'm just not, go away. Like, I'm dealing with, I need to hear about this instead. Like, it is very frustrating when you do go into an E3 event thinking you're going to maybe see A, B, and C, and you don't get any of them, and then you come out then so pissed off because you've wasted your time, and then you're in your head going, no, I have to just cover this because we have to, and it's dog shit, and it's not what I wanted, or it's not what I hoped for. It's a very unusual thing. But
I will say I haven't stayed up for any conference for a few years now. Like, I used to stay up and, like, with the iPad in bed watching the Sony one or something. Nowadays, it's like, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that.
I have, since I can remember, done every year.
No, I used to, but not anymore. But I don't know.
I like to, but I mean, Sony need to fucking bring theirs forward a bit. Cause
it would be nice, wouldn't it, just to be a bit more friendly.
Every year you're there to, like, yeah, because it's like, even, like, last year, there was a massive gap because
Nintendo.
It's because Microsoft did it the year before, didn't they? Sorry, the day before even. And so everyone else kind of shuffled forward, but Sony were like, no, it's 2 a.m. Fuck you. You know, and you're just like, I'm sick of, it's like it's nice to sit, but I think if they do that this year, I'm just like, I'll watch it in the morning.
That's what I did last year.
I just
one thing I do want to see, just kind of just take a step back a small bit, because it's not really for me. I'm not personally into it, but when they discuss the power of the consoles and what they do, I have to say, I just get so burnt out. Well, I'm like, I fucking know. I know what it does. Just give me games.
Do you know
what?
I
just want it.
Do you know what ruins E3 for me every year quite early on? You don't want to guess?
The fact we don't get Bloodborne 2 announced?
No, well, thanks. Now that as well. Twitter. Twitter ruins it every year for me, because Twitter's one of those places that can be very wonderful and see some lovely things, but it can also be the worst place in the entire world. And every year during E3, EA's conference comes on, and as a sports fan, as someone who loves football, there it is. Everyone moans about the sport, and it's like, you do realise that FIFA, for example, makes EA an obscene amount of money, which allows them to support games like Faye. I'll edit that. Like, I get it, it's not your bag, but then, like, when everyone's tweeting about, someone give me a cultural reference, a thing on TV everyone hashtag. I mean, Great British Bake Off is a bad one because I actually quite enjoy that. Something like that. Someone give me one of those. There's got to be another one.
X Factor.
Great, X Factor.
Big Brother.
X Factor. Big Brother's another one. I've never seen an episode of either of those in my entire life. It doesn't appeal to me. It's not my kind of thing. It's fine if you like it. I'm not going to tweet about how you're a wanker, or, oh god, here we go again, everyone's tweeting about X Factor. That's just fine. Just mute the hashtag. Every year that bothers me.
I'll be honest though, I am.
Yeah, I know you're the prick, Gary. I know you act the prick during E3. I was trying to get it in a very nice way. Let's not have this conversation. But yeah, you act the prick during
E3. I kind of just wish they'd just handle it a little better.
I hope there's one person who goes away from this podcast goes, oh, Adam turned really nasty. He called Gary a prick, and he definitely meant it. Like, just one person. It's like one person getting the joke in the room, clapping. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There we go. And I guess thank you very much for listening this week. It's been another bumper edition of the podcast. There's so many things we could still talk about, and there's jokes in that Patreon bit that I restrained myself from saying, so I'm very proud of myself. All that does remain to say is if you do want to hear the Patreon section, go to patreon.com/GodIsAGeek. $1 a month gets you exclusive videos, early videos, a longer podcast, an earlier podcast, all sorts of stuff. We appreciate it. It keeps us going. Gary, thank you for being here. You can be found at Blue Icon. The podcast is so long, I have lost the ability to speak English. At Blue Fury 47 is Gary. At Adam Zokes is Adam Carroll. At Wavy_Gravy is Nicola. Thank you three for being here.
You're welcome.
You can find me at GBSF, at God is a Geek. Type God is a Geek into Google, then just tap on Twitter, socials, Facebook, whatever you want. You'll find us. We're on the internet. Everyone's on the internet. Thank you very, very much for being here. But if you do have time, go to iTunes, subscribe, review the podcast, and give it 5 stars. It helps share your love of this podcast with the whole world. Pushes us up the old rankings. Thanks very much, and we'll see you next week, or whenever you choose to listen. Bye-bye.